blessings. This is your host, Caleb Gipson, welcoming you to another episode of The Road to Financial Freedom. I'll start by thanking everyone listening to this episode, as I usually do. You all are my motivation for doing what I do, so I truly am grateful for having you come and listen to what I have to say. As for today's episode, the topic of discussion will be about taking a closer look at paper assets. There are many types of paper assets, but today I'll focus on stocks, bonds, savings, and annuities. I'll begin with stocks because you should invest in things that adjust for inflation. It's good to buy stock in oil-related, food-related, or non-renewable resource-related products or services. Even stocks in government housing can be profitable. Yet, the stock market in general is more risky than other types of investments because mutual fund groups have the upper hand in this domain. In the stock market, when more people buy a stock, the price of that particular stock increases. And conversely, when less people are invested into a stock, as a general rule, its value will be lesser than when more people were invested into it. This benefits the more popular mutual fund groups because in reality, the mutual fund group is merely a financial alliance of many people who invest into the same thing or things through an agent. So, one mutual fund group could have the investing power of 100,000 people, and this allows that particular mutual fund to have an investing power that can help them dictate price values of a stock for a brief period of time. Practical examples of this phenomenon have been demonstrated when multiple large mutual fund groups come together and enter a particular market all at once by investing into a particular stock. Because so many people are invested into these particular mutual fund groups, the sudden interest of these groups will cause the value of their stock to increase steadily. Therefore, giving people outside of the market a false notion that the stock is trending and will continue to increase in value. As a result, many people in smaller investment groups will invest in this particular stock in hopes that they will be able to resell their shares for a profit later on when the stock's value substantially increases past what they bought it for. Once the many individual investors and smaller investment groups enter the market, the large mutual fund groups will exit the market and cause the value of the stock to drop dramatically. Realizing how much money they're losing by the second, minute, or hour, the people involved with the failing stock will begin to panic and sell their shares at a fraction of what they originally paid for them in order to minimize their losses. And, like a vulture stalking a dying roadrunner, the mutual fund groups will come in and rebuy shares in the same market they just left for pennies on the dollar. The stock market is a ruthless mechanism that large mutual fund groups rule with an iron fist. So, I wouldn't advise one to stake a gamble on the stock market. Of course, the one-time occurrence where the roles were reversed and the people came out as the winners took place last year when GameStop stock share prices were seeing a profound increase in value due to small-time investors buying shares. Seeing this, several large mutual funds began investing in GameStop. Then, without strategic coordination, many individual investors left the market and the mutual fund groups lost millions. This was unheard of because usually individual investors are the ones losing money while the large mutual fund groups benefit. The reason why is that people generally lose big because mutual fund groups strategically organize and then efficiently execute their plans. Unfortunately, individual investors can't do this because it's practically impossible to get 10,000 individual investors who don't know each other to create a strategy that will help them dictate the value of any one stock. So, though the underdog in stock market investing may win, it's not likely that you'll win big unless you invest with a large mutual fund group. And then, in that case, they will either diversify your money in such a false way that you never gain or lose any money, or they will charge you so many semi-hidden fees that your profit is diminished so that it really all that much of a large gain anymore. Simply put, the stock market works for some, but it's very risky. And because I myself enjoy or don't enjoy losing a dollar in a penny machine at the casino, I wouldn't advise you to invest heavily into the stock market. On to another paper asset. Bonds are interest-bearing securities that fluctuate with market conditions. The interest one generates on bonds is very low, though. So low, in fact, that you should never expect to become wealthy from investing solely in bonds. Some bonds are issued by the federal government, while others are issued by the state government, local government, such as municipalities, or corporations. A municipal bond is the debt obligation of a state or a local government entity. Interest from these sort of bonds is generally exempt from federal taxes and in some cases state and local taxes too. A municipal bond obligates the issuer to pay the fixed bondholder a fixed amount of interest periodically and to repay the principal value of the bond on a specific date. There are other types of bonds too, but I won't describe them here. Examples of cash reserves are money market funds, bank-issued CDs, and U.S. Treasury bills. Excuse me. They can provide a stable investment value and current interest income. Yet, like bonds, you're not likely to become wealthy because of them. Though, once you've accumulated a nice amount of wealth, you can use cash reserves to save a certain amount of money you have intentions of stashing away for decades anyway. Then, in 30 years, the money you invested in the cash reserve will bring you a relatively nice return. The last types of paper asset I'll describe are annuities. Simply put, annuities are annually paid interest. Annuities, in a sense, are a form of cash flow. But the negative aspect of these forms of cash flow is that annuities are often backed by commercial real estate that you do not have control over. If the real estate investors backing your annuities are out for a capital gain, they may hurt your annuity returns by marking down the assets that back the company paying your annuity in order to market the particular assets. The lack of control in this investment's unpredictability because of that lack of control make it very unattractive to me. Honestly, I wouldn't even waste my time with paper assets. They are types of investments, but they're either too unpredictable or do not yield enough of a profitable return for me to invest in. All business and investing endeavors require some sort of risk, but I want to have as much control of the risk I incur as I possibly can obtain. And the reason why is simple. I trust myself more than anyone else besides the omnipotent creator. That said, because of the trust I have in myself, it should be obvious why I want all of this control. But if it's not, I'll explain it like this. When I'm in control of my investment, I can use what I know and the resources I have to bring about the outcome I desire. That makes me comfortable because if my investment doesn't pan out the way I wanted it, I can analyze my mistake and readjust how I invest in whatever it is I chose to invest in. This, in my opinion, is better than the stock market scenario where I'm going into an ordeal where the odds are already set against me and I have to a large extent, depend on fortuitous events to occur via external factors. Then, as in the case of bonds, I don't want to hoard my money for years just to earn a profit so meager that my daughter would look at me crazy if I gave her that amount to make up for the birthdays I couldn't give her a present because I chose to invest in a low-yield bond. I invest for financial stability and above par profit, not pennies on the dollar. And wrapping this up, I'll let it be known that paper assets are the last sort of investments you should consider using your time and money on. But who knows? Maybe you'll make a key investment in the stock market and earn $1 billion. Different methods work for different people. Yet, wise people learn from others' mistakes, while smart people learn from their own mistakes. Will you choose to be wise or smart is the big question in this situation. So, until we meet again, I'll leave as I came in peace.